These are the worst TLC episodes. James King. In January 2017 in Kentucky, and TLC's My 600 Pound Life Season 5 has just aired one of its heaviest stories, literally and emotionally. The episode follows 46-year-old James King, a bedridden man weighing close to 791 pounds. And from the opening scene, it was clear this wasn't one of the show's redemption arcs. James lived confined to a single bedroom, surrounded by oxygen tubes, medication bottles, and a family stretched to its limits. He couldn't walk, couldn't stand, and barely slept without a breathing machine. His legs were swollen from cellulitis, covered in raw wounds that leaked and burned. His youngest daughter had quit school to wash his sores. Lisa, his fiancée, served as caregiver, nurse, and reluctant accomplice. James's father, Donald, couldn't stand to see his son rot in bed. Therefore, he mortgaged his house to pay for a medical transport to Houston to see weight loss surgeon Dr. Nazardon. The extraction was chaos. Paramedics reinforced the stretcher and tried to fit it through the narrow doorway. When it scraped James's leg, he screamed, "My leg!" in agony. At the hospital, a giant scale flashed 735 pounds. Dr. Now warned that James's organs were collapsing under the pressure. He was hospitalized immediately and placed on a 1,200-calorie diet. But outside the hospital, the diet stopped being mandatory. Fast food wrappers started showing up again. The leg infections came back, red and wet with fluid. Lisa peeled off bandages while James groaned in pain and insisted it would heal on its own. It didn't. By his next weigh-in, James was back at 843 pounds. He blamed water weight. Dr. Now wasn't fooled. Water doesn't come with a combo meal. James broke down crying. Lisa begged for another chance, but the doctor ended the program. The episode closed with James being sent home to Kentucky, still trapped in the same bed where the story began. He promised to keep trying, and the credits rolled over that promise. Buggin' Out and Dumpster Diet. The 2013 episode Buggin' Out and Dumpster Diet in My Crazy Obsession split its 21 minutes between two food-related obsessions. The structure was simple. One man who couldn't stop eating insects, and one woman who proudly served her family meals scavenged from dumpsters. The first half focused on David Gracer, a man who had spent more than a decade making insect eating his identity. His freezer was stuffed with thousands of insects, and he claimed to have eaten over 5,000 species. Some tasted nutty, some like seafood, or so he said. The climax of his story was him preparing to eat his most venomous bug yet. The cameras followed his careful handling, cooking, and final bite. The show skipped over concerns about toxins, parasites, or what happens when someone treats scorpions like food. But what makes this episode so disturbing was not David, but the next person. Kelly Athena decided that grocery stores were for suckers, and for 4 years she lived as a self-described freegan, driving miles each day to raid around 20 dumpsters. She bragged about rescuing over $125,000 worth of food. One scene showed her throwing a dinner party with her haul. Guests nervously ate, only for Kelly to reveal that everything on their plates came from a dumpster. Her husband refused to appear on camera and admitted he hated the lifestyle. Kelly kept dumpster diving anyway. Chewing dirty diapers. It's January 2014, and My Strange Addiction introduces one of its most infamous cases. A pregnant 22-year-old woman named Keisha from Queens who loves the smell and taste of used diapers. Keisha says it began 2 years earlier when a friend handed her a used diaper to throw away. But instead, she kept it in her purse and sniffed it for comfort. It calmed her nerves, because when life gives you lemons, you inhale diapers instead. Yet that single decision spiraled. She began collecting them, saving over 25,000 in total. But the smell faded fast, and she wanted stronger ones. So she started hunting for fresh supplies. One of her suppliers is her friend Kim. Keisha always shows up at Kim's apartment uninvited, and anytime she wants. Kim has twin babies and has learned to dread Keisha's visits. One reason being she'll wake the babies up to take the diaper that's on them. Kim refused to wake the baby, saying she was still asleep and changing her diaper would only make her cry. The camera then caught the baby starting to cry as noise filled the room. Kim looked frustrated. She explained that putting the twins to sleep was already a struggle, and now the commotion around the trash cans were waking them up again. At home, Jerome, Keisha's fiancé, found drawers packed with used diapers, some covered in mold and flies. He emptied them into trash bags while she argued to keep them. The cameras showed diapers stacked beside kitchen utensils and stuffed into her purse. She expanded the habit in public, approaching parents in parks and restrooms to ask for used diapers. She said she preferred the heavier ones, the ones that have more pee. In the middle of an interview, she pulled one out, sniffed it, and started chewing, comparing the taste to sour candy. The audience compares it to trauma. Her friends hold an intervention at her baby shower, hoping motherhood will change her. Instead, she chews one discreetly behind the cake table. Therefore, therapy becomes her last stop. A counselor warns her about bacteria, toxins, and mold, yet Keisha insists, "It makes me happy." The Legless Lizard Incident. It's April 2014, and Sex Sent Me to the ER is at its peak, making everyone in America wonder why this show even exists. The episode Get a Room Story is where our story starts. A 35-year-old Californian named Sean argues with his wife about their boring sex life. She says he has lost a sense of adventure, so naturally, he decides to go find it in the wilderness with a sausage out. He drives to a hillside, strips naked, and lies in the grass to reconnect with nature. For about 30 minutes, he feels at peace. But peace in nature rarely lasts long. Then he feels movement. A smooth, cold living thing slides up his thigh and right into his urethra. He could have stood up, but he ignored it because he was too busy achieving enlightenment. Instead, he spends 3 days hoping it will just crawl back out on its own. By the second night, his abdomen swells, his urine slows to a trickle, and his kidneys start shutting down. On the third day, he's hallucinating. By fifth day, Sean staggered into the ER. Dr. Katrina Nguyen examined him and ordered tests. The scans showed obstruction in his bladder, and she prepared for an emergency bladder inspection. Under anesthesia, doctors went in with a tiny camera and grasper and fished the lizard out from near his bladder. It did not survive. When Sean woke up, he looked heartbroken. The man almost lost a kidney, yet somehow it was the lizard's death that hit him the hardest. The Nude Photo Shoot Incident. The first season of Smothered aired in 2019 and followed 4 mother-daughter pairs who were way too close for comfort. But the moment that made everyone talk was at episodes 7 and 8, and it's still one of the most uncomfortable things TLC ever aired. The mother, Sandra, and her daughter, Mariah, from Los Angeles, participated in a photo shoot for personal empowerment. In the episode, Mariah convinced her mom that doing a photo shoot would build confidence and celebrate womanhood. And at first it seemed okay. The photographer had them pose side by side, holding hands and laughing. But then Mariah said she wanted the pictures to be sexier. Mariah grabbed a bottle of body oil and started rubbing it on her mom's legs, stomach, and eventually her chest. Sandra hesitated but kept smiling, saying she just wanted to make her daughter happy. After a few minutes, Mariah even suggested they take off their tops for confidence. The photographer later admitted on camera that it was one of the strangest shoots he'd ever done. They chose one of the topless shots, framed it, and decided to give it to Sandra's ex-husband Mariah's dad as a gift. When they unveiled it in the living room, the dad froze. He stared for a few seconds before saying he didn't know what to think. Sandra laughed awkwardly while Mariah insisted it was art. Sandra's other daughter, who was 16 years old, also saw the picture, which made the whole scene worse. Of course, this episode was met with backlash, but the controversy only made Smothered more popular, running for 5 seasons.